I've been a Call of Duty Zombies fan for an extremely long time, ever since the days of World at War, and not only a gameplay guy, but also a storyline theory guy as well. So when I see someone like JohnyJ25 over here being wrong, it can be a slight bit upsetting. Now, what do I mean by this, you may be asking? Well, his most two recent videos.
Believe me when I say I've been following Treyarch Zombies since the very beginning. This includes how passionately I've followed all of Black Ops 3. In fact, I myself have made storyline videos, especially recently, that have been covering topics I'm going to be covering today, which is kind of annoying as a creator considering how these facts are in the foreground, anybody could notice these, and yet these are the certain facts that are going unnoticed. Truly, I'm not trying to spit any fire or throw some shade, but I do want to make that mad YouTube revenue. So I am going to be saying that, Johnny, looks like you ballsed everything up and not Jason. Guess that's what I get for arguing with someone who thinks Origins is terrible.
Now, hear me out. John isn't entirely incorrect in one of his videos, the one where he talks about the Monty radios. However, he is still wrong because he only considers this a theory rather than going the entire rest of the way. He is almost there, but in his most recent video, his storyline Q&A, he kind of resorts back to the incorrect truth that all the other YouTubers seem to be following. Now, what I mean by this, if you follow my channel, then you would definitely know what I'm talking about. But where is Zombies Chronicles? Well,
wait! Don't tell me!
John thinks that it is an issue that Treyarch was incorrect with their facts about the Monty radios explaining how Richtofen blew up the Earth specifically.
Monty says that Richtofen blew up the Earth, which quite frankly is not true. That's not actually how it went down. Maxis was the one that blew up the Earth. I mean, it was Maxis that ballsed everything up, as Dr. Monty would say.
And he goes on a huge tangent about how this is a whole issue, how could Jason mess this up, how would Treyarch not know the basic information, the entire purpose of every map. We went to Shangri-La for the focusing stone and Call of the Dead for the golden rod, so how could we not know that it was actually Maxis that blew up the moon?
This little mistake, this little typo in the storyline in these radios kind of irks me because say we take a weapon like the Colt, which isn't added into Zombie Chronicles, which should be. Sure, that's a mistake, but that's a mistake with an explanation. They didn't have enough time. The gun wasn't ready, and it takes time to put these things into the game. Or maybe some of the bugs that we see in Origins. Sure, there are mistakes in Zombie Chronicles and sometimes very glaring and frustrating mistakes, but you know it wasn't intentional. You know they had made a mistake in the code. It wasn't like this was just somebody typo in one writing a script. And Call of the Dead is when Richtofen was looking for the goldenrod. The goldenrod was located within Call of the Dead. He had the Call of the Dead crew go fetch it to him. Once they had the goldenrod, they then teleported to Shangri-La, where Richtofen went to Shangri-La to find the focusing stone. I mean, these are just kind of basic things. The purpose of a map. The purpose of Call of the Dead was to find the goldenrod. The purpose of Shangri-La was to find the focusing stone. Why would Jason Blundell make this mistake? I mean, you would think that he would know what the purpose of each map is, or at least somebody would be able to correct him and go, wait a minute, Richtofen went to Shangri-La for the focusing stone, not the goldenrod. We know this. This is like basic stuff.
And then he also goes on to explain that the timeline is still incorrect. It is the same as the Monty radio, to where the timeline says that Richtofen blew up the Earth as well.
This was a mistake, and then it was a mistake that also got copied onto the timeline, I believe, which is pretty frustrating when you think about it, because Jason Blundell kind of has gone back and created these maps. And sure, this isn't a story that he had a direct hand in telling, but he should still be in sync with the zombie storyline to know that it was Maxis who blew up the Earth and not Richtofen.
And then he gives a slight explanation, which is actually correct, of why, well, Monty isn't omniscient, so maybe Monty's just making a mistake here. Maybe, rather than being all-knowing, Monty is saying what he believes to know is happening.
These are the mistakes within Zombie Chronicles that kind of annoy me and irk me because they seem like very basic mistakes, easy ones, basic plot points, and for some reason, they slip past the cracks. Now, what if these weren't actually mistakes? What if these were actually intentional? Let's play devil's advocate for a minute. this could actually be reflective of Monty as a character. This could actually be suggesting that maybe Dr. Monty isn't as all-knowing as he likes to make us think. Monty sometimes contradicts himself. He says he's all-knowing, but he's not omniscient, which is kind of weird because that almost sounds like an oxymoron. And maybe Monty feels like he has Richtofen all figured out. All throughout Black Ops 3, he keeps saying Richtofen's up to something, Richtofen's evil, don't trust Richtofen.
You can see that bit of the timeline right here. It basically says that Maxis reaches out to others to help defeat Richtofen, and they agree. They then launch missiles at Earth, leaving it fractured and broken.
In John's most recent video, he tries to explain what is the Zombies Chronicles storyline, and he goes on to explain why it's canonical. He has the storyline trailer as a reference. However, his explanation is that it is simply a fracture, or that he simply just doesn't know. Now, what he doesn't explain is anything inside of the storyline trailers, or anything that could help you in order to determine the actual answer. And since the revelations and cutscene, we have received the Gift story trailer. We have received the timeline, including the timeline's trailer. Where we see the summoning key go into the timeline. We can confirm this is after Revelations, considering it has everything on Revelations in it, and that is the end of the timeline. And then we've also received the Zombies Chronicles story trailer. And these drop us huge clues as to what is really going on currently in the Zombies storyline, as well as all the comic loading screens that have hinted towards other aspects as well, such as the Revelations Die Rise one. But basically, to put it as simply as I can, Zombies Chronicles does not take place inside of a fracture. Rather, Zombies Chronicles takes place inside of the summoning key. And where is the summoning key? Right now, the summoning key, Monty has placed it inside of the timeline. And the timeline, of course, as we know, is inside of the Chronorium. Now, it is my theory that the timeline is not actually from Richtofen's perspective. Jason Bundell was trolling us with this bombshell. Rather, the timeline is actually from Monty's perspective. Now, we know this because Richtofen is not able to just simply push the summoning key into the timeline, and that is when the timeline was created. Before that, it was just a blank piece of paper on a piece of the Chronorium. But Monty puts it into the Chronorium, which then activates the timeline to be from Monty's perspective, since Monty is the one looking at the Chronorium, since he's the one putting the summoning key into the timeline. And this opens up so many different angles into the Zombies storyline if you just consider this possibility. It is very obvious that Zombies Chronicles does take place after Revelations, and it is very frustrating just to sit back and watch other Zombies theorists simply state things that we already know to be either true or we've just seen proof otherwise. So seeing all these trailers and seeing how they go so unmentioned in the Zombies Theorists videos, it's just kind of disappointing, to be honest. So what my hope is, my end goal for this video, is that some of the Zombies Theorists, such as JohnyJ25, will see this video and take into consideration all these different theories to shape their own views of the zombie storyline. Whether they believe me or not, if they can have their own views be solidified in a new form, then I have reached my end goal. That all being said, I will link to JohnyJ's25 channel down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions about the zombie storyline, make sure to drop them in the comments below as well. And as always, don't forget to have a day! Sorry, I just couldn't keep up the whole format of John's video anymore. I had it in my own way. There you go. Roll the credits. Spit any fire or throw some shade, but I do want to make that mad YouTube revenue.